Today, the Tacoma gets some new headlights. Welcome back everyone. I hope you guys are all staying healthy and safe. In today's video, we're going to continue de-chroming my 2019 Tacoma. As you guys know, in the previous video, I replaced the turn signals on the mirrors. I got rid of the chrome ones and installed these smoked ones, and it was time to replace the headlights as well and get rid of the chromies. Now, I've looked at a lot of headlight options for my 19 Tacoma and decided to go with the AlphaRex LUXX Series. They also call these the TRD Pro Style headlights. And these are available in 3 different color options, in a chrome, in a black, and a alpha black. I decided to go with the alpha black because, in my opinion, I feel like these look the best, especially with the direction I'm going with the truck. Now, as you guys may know, with the AlphaRex Nova series, one of the big benefits with those headlights is that they have the little dancing lights when you're locking and unlocking a truck. And guess what? We have it too on these guys. Now, this might not be everyone's cup of tea and you may think it's kind of gimmicky. I think it's kind of badass. Also, aside from just looking badass, these AlphaRex LUXX Series headlights are 100% LEDs. So the light output will be a lot better compared to your OEM headlights. Now, comparing these to my headlights with the SL1 diode LEDs, they're pretty comparable as far as the light output. So the primary reason I got these was for just aesthetics and the way they looked. And so far, I'm super stoked on them. Now, another reason I decided to go with these guys, first, they were just released, and 2, they are about $400 or $500 cheaper compared to the Nova series headlights and also other comparable lights. And I feel like for the price and quality, you just can't go wrong with these AlphaRexes. Now, before we hop into the install, I would appreciate if you haven't already to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like this video if you do like it, and also drop me a comment below and let me know what you think about the build so far. What do you think about these lights? And so if you are looking at getting your own AlphaRex headlights, either the LUXX series or the Nova series, I will drop you a link below to where I got mine. So if you are using this video to make a decision whether or not you're gonna buy it, I would appreciate if you did use my link below. It helps support the channel. And if not, just subscribing to the channel and drop me a like will do. Okay, enough talk, let's hop into the install. Okay, first up, let's open this up. I'll have to do this on the floor since my workbench is too small to do this up there. Okay, so here we have the headlight. All the wiring looks pretty standard. One thing I'm gonna do is, with this plastic wrapping, I'm gonna leave this on and I'll pull it off once it's installed, just so that way the headlight doesn't get scratched up as we're installing it. And also looks like the headlights come with additional wiring. Also for this install, we're going to need a 10mm socket and wrench, a panel removal tool, or a flathead screwdriver. Now, installation should be fairly simple. We'll need to pull the grille off. We're going to have to remove the front bumper. I'm not going to pull the full bumper off. I think we should be able to just loosen this to pull this guy off. We essentially need to get to one 10mm bolt here, 2 bolts on the headlight, and then that should be it. I'm thinking overall install should take less than an hour with recording this video. So let's get going. Now, the first thing we're gonna do is pull the grille off. To do that, I'm gonna pull off these 2 10mm bolts and also remove these push clips, and then the grille will come right out. With mine, I do have the TSS sensor and also these grille lights, so I'll have to unplug those as well. If you do want to see an in-depth video on how to remove these grills and reinstall them, you can go back and watch my video specifically for the grills. I'll make sure to link to it as well. But let's get this going real quick. Now that we have the grille off, what we need to do is we need to separate the front bumper from the fender. In order to do that, we need to remove this fender flare, and then we'll be able to pull this off. One thing to note, I am not going to be removing the bumper. All I'm trying to do is just separate it here to give us access to the 10mm bolt here. First thing we're gonna do is pull this clip out, just twist it 90 degrees, and this guy should just pop out, and remove this 10mm bolt. Once we have the clip and the bolt out, it's time to remove the fender flare. Again, we're just gonna separate up to about here, and that should give us enough room to remove this front bumper off the brackets here. So I'm just gonna use a trim removal tool, slide in here. If you don't have a trim removal tool, you can use a flathead screwdriver, just throw some masking tape on it so you're not scratching up your bumper. Just to get it started. Once we have it started, I'll start pulling it up and out. And to make this easier, because there is these brackets here, you push it that way and then out. Once we have the fender flare separated, it's time to pull the bumper off these brackets. Easiest way to do this is if you come back here, we're gonna take this clip and slide it off of this hanger. As soon as you do that, the bumper will start separating. Now once we have it off of that little hanger, we're just gonna use our pry tool, or you can use your flathead screwdriver. You completely separate this. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to take this little push clip and remove it. This is going to give us a little bit more room to be able to pull the bumper off. Again, I'm not going to do the rest. This should give us enough room to move this out of the way to remove that bolt. Okay, next up, I'm just going to move this bumper down a little bit. And this is the 10mm bolt we're removing. So get in here. And then next up, we're going to remove these two bolts. Once the bolt's out, we just need to pull these brackets off of these bolts. The headlight off. One thing to keep in mind, there is a clip here, or a clamp, whatever you want to call it. And the way to pull the headlight off, the headlight will need to come this way to slide off of the clip. So just be careful, take your time as you're doing it, just to make sure you're not scratching up your lens. And it's this clip here, so what we'll do is we'll start slowly, there you go, pop it off. Once we have it off the clip, we'll go through and just carefully pull this headlight out. Next, we'll go through and just unplug all these bulbs. You can either go through and unclip all these clips and pull your plugs out, or to make it easier, you can just remove each bulb and then just do it afterwards. So I'll go through and do this real quick. This will look different on yours. I just have the Diode Dynamics SL1, so that's the LED right here. For most of you, this will plug directly into the bulb. Now we're ready to get everything wired up. Remember, I do have a TRD off-road model, so we need to make sure we have this little adapter harness on the headlights with the 3-prong plug. Take your adapter harness. I'm gonna plug this in, make sure it clips in all the way. After this, we'll go through and hook all the other plugs in. One of the nice things about this AlphaRex headlight is that your plugs are actually marked. So this is your high beam, low beam. Again, these are running LED lights in here, so we don't have to switch any of the bulbs out from the OEM headlights. Now, the low beam is going to be this green colored plug. Grab your low beam connector, plug it in, make sure it clicks in. The high beam is this yellow connector, plug that guy in. We'll take this adapter harness that we plugged in to right here. And also, just so you guys know, this 3-pin that goes into a 2-pin, I believe this is your turn signal. Actually, I'm pretty sure that is your turn signal. So that's what this guy is. And then finally, we'll take the OEM DRL and we're gonna hook it up to this guy right here. Make sure it clicks in. So we're just gonna leave that for now. Next up, I'll take this long bundle of wires. I'm gonna try and kind of separate this and clean it up a little bit. And then you've got your black and red, so your positive and negative. This will hook up to the battery itself, so just to the terminals. We have an added fuse. I will not be using the actual added fuse on this, so we'll cut this off. Okay, now we have this pretty much separated. Where this little module is, we're gonna leave this on the driver's side, since all the wires are shorter here. And then you do have this longer wire here. This guy will go to the passenger side. So just throw that over there for now, and then we'll run this wire nicely. Okay. The first thing we're gonna do on the long harness here is this little red wire. right here is actually going to attach to the brown wire on the headlight. So all we need to do is take this guy and plug it in like that. And then we'll actually hit this with some heat to make sure this crimps down. And then the longer one here, the other red one, is going to go to the passenger side. So we're just going to run that all the way through, and we'll do that a little bit later. Next up in this long bundle, we're going to find this little yellow wire, this yellow plug, and that's going to go into here, onto the headlight. Just going to plug that guy in. There we go. And then what's left here, we have our positive and our negative. Again, we're going to attach this directly to the battery terminals for now. This will power up the module, which will let us do a little dance as we're locking and unlocking the truck. Okay. Next up, what we need to do is we need to take this wire with the added fuse and connect it to where the DRL is, right here. Now, since I am using this adapter along with the module, what we need to do is we just need to cut this off and attach it to this. I will not be using the provided added fuse. And essentially all I'm going to do is just cut this here, splice these in together and connect them. And after that, we'll hook up the power and we should be good to go to test the lights. So let's do that real quick. Also keep in mind, if you do not have a TRD model and you're not using a TRD adapter, you can just use this added fuse right here. What I'm going to do just for a temporary solution, I'm going to use electrical tape to make sure it all works. And then later on, I'll go through and just clean all this up and use proper plugs for all of these. So now we have everything hooked up temporarily to make sure that all the wiring's good. Test the lights, make sure they're good. If they are, we'll go through and clean all this up. We'll reverse the process of putting these puppies back in and then we'll be done. So try it. And there we have it. That's just unlocking it. Light shows working. Got the DRLs and the lights. Hell yeah, looks like we're good to go. Okay, so we know that the wiring is gonna work. I'm gonna go through and put everything back together. We're just gonna reverse the process of pulling this out. I'm gonna go through, clean all the wires up, and then I'll show you guys where I run the wires once I do run them. And we're all done. For the wiring, I just kind of tuck this back here, nicely zip tied. For the ground, I've attached the ground right here to the chassis, and then the power just to the terminal here. And there we have it, a super simple install and a great way to transform the look of your Tacoma and to also increase the light output. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to drop me a like. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Over the next weeks, I'll try to release a lot more videos with some upcoming mods I've got coming on the Tacoma. And until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. See ya.